U.S. sends 500 TOW anti-tank to Ukraine. How good is TOW missile to destroy a tank? The condition of Ukraine has been a severe issue for the past many months. We as a human must take care of it. Hello everyone, we are back with another video titled U.S. send 500 TOW anti-tank to Ukraine. How good is TOW missile to destroy a tank? Let's begin with the video. The Department of Defense stated on January 6th that Ukraine would get 50 Bradley infantry combat vehicles. As Ukraine's battle against the Russian invasion inexorably moves into its second year, a rush of statements from NATO countries about deploying armored vehicles there accompanies the long-awaited action. The Bradley is a track-equipped armored transport vehicle with a tiny turret. Although Bradley's cannon is far smaller than those installed on main combat tanks like the M1 Abrams used by the U.S. military, it nonetheless has a tank-like look. Its inclusion in the aid package follows President Zelensky of Ukraine's public requests that other countries supply them with advanced military hardware, including tanks. At a news briefing on January 5th, Brigadier General Pat Ryder, the Pentagon's communications director, declared, "It's not a tank, but a tank killer." A Bradley is an armored vehicle that can carry troops into battle and has the potential of a weapon. Furthermore, it will contribute to Ukraine's already strong armor abilities, and we have faith that it will help soldiers on the front lines. The 50 Bradley tanks share a paragraph with 500 TOW anti-tank missiles and 250,000 pieces of 25mm ammunition in the January 6th declaration of U.S. assistance to Ukraine. The Bradley's 25mm Bushmaster gun fires 25mm ammunition, making it capable of taking down objects like light-duty vehicles, buildings, and sometimes even helicopters. The power to fire ammo that can penetrate armor gives the weapon considerable opportunity to use the gun against thicker armor. However, that ability is, at most, a secondary purpose. Depleted uranium penetrators, often used in Bradley ammo, can penetrate armor and represent a long-term health and ecological risk to people who may come into contact with them after a fight, particularly if the shells have never been safely removed. In addition to its arsenal of weapons, the Bradley has room for 6 or 7 people. When dismounted, the troops can engage in combat in the car's defense before reloading up and dismounting if necessary. The Bradley can be understood by comparing it to the weapon it was intended to replace, rather than tanks, which have firepower superior to the Bradleys. The M113 armored personnel carriers were created as a battle taxi, or a means of transporting soldiers to the battlefield when they were initially presented in 1960. The M113s were primarily armed with automatic weapons, unlike a Bradley, which was built to withstand warfare alone with its powerful cannon and missiles. However, the M113's function was swiftly transporting soldiers to the battlefield. The Pentagon declared that in addition to the 50 Bradleys already delivered, the help to Ukraine will also include 100 M113 APCs, which are still in use today. The M113 requires a 2-person crew to operate and has a carrying capacity of 11 soldiers plus their equipment. The 50 M113s can accommodate 550 troops, compared to the 50 Bradley's maximum 350 troop capability, which is a small but significant differential. The Department of Defense plans to provide 138 high-mobility, multi-function wheeled vehicles, HMMWVs, also known as Humvees, to complete the package's mobility aid component. These light transporters can swiftly transfer soldiers across rugged terrains, such as wetlands or stony fields, where more oversized vehicles would become stuck. Tanks pose a hazard in battle in part because they must be destroyed with specialist weapons like powerful guns or anti-tank missiles. However, launching quick offensives where the tanks are not present and ensuring anti-tank weaponry is in place before counteroffensives are 2 significant ways to reduce the influence of heavy armor. Bradleys equipped with TOW missiles provide more punch. Bradleys are supported by a pooled fleet of MRAPs, M113s, and Humvees, giving Ukrainian soldiers more mobility. By this point, the M2A2 ODS is a 30-year-old vehicle. However, its advanced age belies its potency. The three-person M2 is a ground combat vehicle used to transport 6 infantry soldiers into battle, protect them as they disembark, and assist them with its 25mm autocannon and anti-tank missiles. Supporting humans is the best path that strives for us toward humanity. Our army fights for us on the border for the sake of humankind. Remember to like, share, and comment on the video, and subscribe to Freedom Fast. The M2 is a battle taxi, and it has armor that is far thinner than that of any tank. However, the M2 is a battle taxi that can destroy tanks. Laura Cooper, a former Deputy National Security Advisor, said, "The Bradley especially has tremendous anti-armor weapons that would work over, you understand, every kind of armored capacity that Russia has deployed in Ukraine." The M2 was created in the 1960s by the U.S. Army and the vehicle manufacturer United Defense, afterward BAE Systems. Tanks are swift and decisive, but infantry can surprise them first from sides and back, as mechanized armies discovered decades before. To defend themselves from opposing infantry, tanks require friendly ground forces. But to be safely deployed in the thick of combat and stay consistent with the quick tanks, the supporting troops need a mechanism to do so. The HS-30, ground troops armored car with a front ramp and heavy tower gun, which began production in the late 1950s, was the first automobile to solve this issue for the German army. The HS-30 was swiftly superseded in German service by the Marder, a significantly better IFV. Iraq lost around 400 vehicles and up to 1,000 soldiers were murdered. 6 men and 1 Bradley were killed for the second ACR. Over 100 TOW anti-tank missiles were launched by the M2s during the action from their dual launchers located on their turrets, with catastrophic consequences. In a 1992 analysis of 73 Easting, Gary Blodorn, a researcher with the Institute for Defense Analyses, outlined the benefits of the Bradley. The majority of Bradleys used by the U.S. Army now have additional armor, motor, and camera modifications. Up to 2,000 of the earlier M2A2 ODSs were placed in storage. These ODS models are what is being shipped to Ukraine. According to confidential Raytheon documents published on Russian social networks, the Javelin anti-tank guided missiles, ATGM, about which 5,000 have been given to Ukraine even by the United States to combat Russia, have a low hit-to-miss ratio, distance, and use. The docs also include survey data from U.S. troops who need clarification on the system's operational qualities and who notice frequent hiccups and poor ease of maintenance. Through their joint venture, the Raytheon Lockheed Martin Javelin, U.S. Aerospace and Automotive Goliath's Lockheed Martin and Raytheon Technologies developed the Javelin missile. On May 16th, the U.S. Army granted the JV a $309 million contract to supply and produce more than 1,300 Javelin weapons to suit national and Ukrainian requirements. The new program was praised as timely and robust by Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Since Russia entered in February 2022, the U.S. has provided military support worth over $24.2 billion. We will receive Bradley armored vehicles for the first time, which is precisely what is required. He said new weapons, including elevated missiles, in his nightly address. The following day, both Washington and Berlin made vague announcements about providing armored vehicles, Bradleys first from the United States and Marders from Germany. Berlin announced that it would send roughly 40 Marder vehicles to Ukraine within a few weeks, along with instructions on how to use them. Ukraine has long advocated for more powerful weapons supporting its operations, such as tanks. Western countries have been hesitant to send them due to concerns that they would escalate the conflict or antagonize Russia. However, the Ukrainians have gained strength, and Western countries have increased the number of weapons they give to them. after France pledged to provide its AMX-10 RC light vehicles, which have been wheeled instead of mounted but have a significantly more giant cannon typical of a tank, the US and Germany announced their agreement on the armored vehicles. The program's star attractions are the Bradleys, which arrive with 500 TOW anti-tank rockets and 250,000 ammunition cartridges for their 25mm artillery cannons. According to Cooper, the Bradley vehicles will improve Ukraine's capacity to carry out intricate maneuvers in nearly every weather and terrain, particularly in the south and east of the nation. 100 M113 and 55 MRAP armored vehicles, 18 155mm self-propelled artillery pieces, artillery munitions, mortar shells, air defense missiles, and numerous small arms are also contained in the shipment. Friday's night address by Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky included a thank you for the present. For the first time, he remarked, "Bradley fighting vehicles will be delivered. This is precisely what is required. New weapons including very accurate projectiles, new missiles, new drones. It is both forceful and appropriate." Thank you for watching the video. We will be back with another video soon. Until then, share and comment down your views below. Also remember to subscribe to the channel Freedom Fast.